Welcome to Cameos of Love,
the show where we take serious the conversations of life, love, and relationships. And now your host, recording artist, author, and producer, Joe Titus Cannon.
And your co-host, minister, author, certified Christian lay counselor, and health educator, Andrea Diallo.
That's me. Hi, I'm Andrea Diallo.
And hi, I'm Joe Titus Cannon, and we're the host of Cameos of Love Talk Radio Show, where we invite you to join us each Thursday live from 7 o'clock to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
As we share 1 hour of thought-provoking, life-changing, and serious conversations about life, love, and relationships.
Plus, exciting interviews with real people like you. Remember, Cameos of Love, live on the FIA Broadcast Network. Cameos.
Welcome to the hottest new internet radio show in the country, Cameos of Love. I'm your co-host, actually, Andrea Diallo. Our host, Joe Titus Cannon, is on the road doing his thing, and we're going to miss him for tonight's show. But I promise you, you will not want to tune out right now. It's about that time that we're about to get things started. He's sending his love. But tonight, we have a familiar guest with us. Frances Williams is our friend and your friend, and we just want to welcome her to the show. Fran, say what's up.
Hey, well, hello. It's great to be back.
And you know how we do it here at Cameos of Love, Fran.
Yep, we discuss topics about life, love, and relationships.
I'm excited about it. We're going to be talking about that thing that everybody wants to talk about. You know, we're going to welcome you to today's show because this is all about getting de-stressed. It's an exciting, thought-provoking conversation about setting healthy boundaries. I know that sounds kind of dry, but I want you to know that it's about learning to say no, learning to live a balanced life, healthy boundaries for healthy living.
That's right.
And a little later on the show, we're going to be opening up our lines of communication, hoping that you're going to call in and let us know what you're thinking, ask your questions. We've got some great experts in the house, and you might want to ask the doctors here what they have to say. That number is 770-498-0125.
Or you can email us now while we're live on the air at cameosoflove@gmail.com. That's CAMEOS of love at gmail.com.
What?
Yeah, you can also hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Let us know what you're thinking. We definitely want to hear from you.
That's all right. That's all. You know, I just like that we can, the technology means that we can reach out to people no matter where they are.
Exactly.
If you don't feel like talking to us,
just write it down, press enter. That's all you have to do.
Share on Facebook. I'm sorry. It's share on Facebook.
That's right.
Friend.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Share on Facebook.
Get with it. I'm sorry.
Get with it, girl. So today, but for real, on a serious tip.
Okay,
so let's, my mic sound nice, but let's bring it down. Okay?
Okay. All right.
This is serious, Andrea.
It is.
Andrea Diallo.
We're talking about life.
We are talking about serious things. And it's a personal issue.
Yes.
It's a personal issue. Anybody who knows me, and Fran will tell you that I am probably one of the biggest reasons why we're doing this show.
Okay.
Because setting boundaries can be a challenge for me.
Yeah.
And it can be a challenge for so many people out there. You know, I'm one of those people who's all over the place. I got my hand in every kind of activity. Obviously, I'm on the radio, I'm working, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, teaching classes, doing this and that, having a good time, and also trying to live a single life. You know, a girl's trying to have a little bit of a life and so forth. You know, so it can get complicated.
Yes, complicated is a good word.
I mean, that can get a little bit hard. And even today, Fran, I had an example. I was thinking, man, I can't believe I did this on a day that we're going to do this show. I thought today would be the day that I would have great boundaries.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, Fran's going to get on me.
Yes.
If I get, this is my girlfriend, right? So I'm like, she's going to get on me about having a day where I didn't even set good boundaries off the bat. Right before I left the office, somebody called about coming to do a blessing or of some sort on Sunday. Now, I try to guard my weekends. I really, really did. And I just...
And you just...
See, what had happened
Oh,
was...
here we
See,
go.
what had happened was she was, we're trying to build relationships, and we're trying to... And I just...
Yeah.
Somebody's getting a house, and I wanted to be a...
You wanted to be a part of it.
wanted to be a
You didn't
part.
know how to say no.
I got a midterm to take on Sunday,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to say those little itty-bitty words.
No.
No. And so, and I know some of y'all out there are feeling me. I know I'm not alone.
No, you're not.
Hello.
You're not.
Don't make me
It's a lot
feel
of people.
like
It's a
just
lot of
me.
people who go through the same thing, feel the same thing. I mean, in just a multitude of areas. It might not even be at work, just everywhere. Someone goes
Everywhere.
through it all the time.
I agree with
all
you.
the time.
And especially, because sometimes I look at people who have kids. I don't have kids, so I don't have this issue. But we're in a society where we're constantly on the go, and we're stretching ourselves in so many directions. And people stretch their kids in 50 directions.
Yeah.
Some kids have bigger day planners than I do,
That's
and they
right.
are scheduled out to the T.
Yep.
I know you have to do that on some level to keep kids busy.
Yeah.
But man, what are we teaching them about just being busy and going
All the time.
You know what I'm saying?
I certainly do. Boundaries are very important, yet so many people don't even know what boundaries are.
Right.
And so, when you had actually talked to me about doing the show, I immediately just went on the hunt and tried to figure out the question that I'm sure everybody is asking
that?
themselves right now. You ready?
Uh-huh.
What
What
is
is
a boundary?
boundary?
Okay?
Oh my.
Well, I tell you what, all the sources out there are pretty much the same thing. A boundary is a line that we draw, both physically and emotionally,
Okay.
to protect ourselves and that we want other people to respect as well.
Oh,
And boundaries are everywhere.
that's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is. But when we say healthy boundaries, we're not just referring to one piece of your life, just not one area, not just work, not just home, not just socially. We're talking about every area. So it's not enough that you have a healthy boundary in your relationships, but then don't have healthy boundaries at work.
I couldn't agree with you more, because I would argue that, if you don't have healthy boundaries in all areas of life, then you make it virtually impossible to have healthy boundaries in any part of your life.
That's right.
Wouldn't you agree?
I do.
I mean, because if you look at, say, let's take a man who may be married with kids.
Okay.
And say that he's a successful businessman, a CEO type of person on a huge company or something.
Okay.
Really successful. If you take this man and he says, man, I don't know what y'all talking about. I don't need to listen to this because I have healthy boundaries. My life is cool. My wife loves me. We get it down on the regular.
Okay.
We're straight. I don't have no problems at home.
Okay.
Right? But what the issue is that in order for him to have become this successful CEO at this big, huge corporation, sometime along the way, he might have made some compromises. He might have done some things that kind of stretched his boundaries. And I think that when he did that, maybe he stayed late one day and he might have missed a game here. Or he might have missed a dinner there.
That's right.
Or he might have missed a birthday or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know how we feel about missing a birthday. Don't let it happen. I mean, or an anniversary or something.
Something that's important to us. That's right.
And
It's gonna
so
be problems.
immediately, it's like if you ask his wife, I wonder if she would say
The same thing.
exactly.
Would she agree?
Exactly.
Yeah, but once you understand what a boundary is, then the question really is, then what? What do I do with that?
Right.
That's the question that you ask.
Okay, so that's what we're asking today.
Okay.
Then what? Then what?
What?
So, we have a great show. We have a lot of people in the house. Well, not a lot of people, because we've had more than this.
Yes.
We have 3 wonderful, wonderful folks in the house today who I'm excited to let our listening audience in on.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
Her name is Darlene, and Darlene is awesome. Her name is Darlene Clark. She's a certified life coach. She's a Christian lay counselor. She's got a passion for making sure that people are living with purpose and balance, and she has formal education that's rooted in psychology and in mental health. But then she also has this extensive corporate experiences and just a general love for helping people that just makes it easy for her to put you in line.
That's right.
I mean, I had to go to Darlene and say, Darlene, help a sister out.
Right.
Say hello to the people, Darlene.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys?
Hey now. Oh, and I failed to mention that Darlene has a family. She's got kids.
Yeah.
She tries to make it happen. So she she also, from a personal perspective, I'm sure, has some things to bring to the table in this conversation.
Absolutely.
And so we welcome you, Darlene.
Welcome.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. Now, I know it sounds like it's ladies' night and the feeling's right.
Oh, yes, it's ladies' night. Oh, what?
Okay,
Ooh,
sorry.
what a night.
Friend, let's bring it back.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we got a little beside ourselves.
I got beside
friend.
myself,
We got
that's
a little beside ourselves.
Okay,
Your mic
okay.
sound nice too, girl. Check one.
I forgot where I was. I apologize. I'm back.
Bring it back. Bring it back. But it's not just ladies' night. Even though Job's not in the house, you know.
Okay.
But we do have some brothers in the house, and one of those, just a professional, heartfelt man of God who really just has a spirit of mercy for anybody who he crosses paths with.
Okay.
His name is Pastor Lionel Stewart. And I call him Pops because he is really just one of those kind of fatherly figures. He makes sure he comes alongside of you. And he's also a counselor. He's a pastor of pastoral care on staff at a major metropolitan church. And so he has got everything going on. He's from, ladies out there, he's got a little accent going on. He's from Barbados.
Oh, Barbados.
Barbados. And he got,
He's
so
from
he's from the island, so you can say, "Hi, Papi." And but he also claims New York. He's been in Wisconsin. He's been a little bit of all over the place.
I
and
see.
he's been in ministry for some time, over 10 years now. And so he's got some things to share too, because he's also, family man.
Right.
Family man on top of all of that. So say what's up to the people, Pastor Stewart.
Hello, listening audience.
He tried to take the accent off. Bring that mic up to your mouth.
I've been in the U.S. for over almost 30 years.
Oh,
okay.
But it's still there.
It's still there. Uh-huh.
We
Come
don't
on,
mind.
Bobby.
We don't mind. We don't mind.
What's up, man?
And last but not least, we have, just a super accomplished, caring individual. His name is Roy Reese. And Roy is an associate professor at Morehouse School of Medicine, Department of Community and Health Prevention. And Dr. Reese maintains his own small clinical practice where he works primarily with African-American families and children. He specializes in working with African-American men.
Okay.
This brother is bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Bad.
Okay.
On top of all of that,
All right.
what do we say about the others? He got a family.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Family man.
ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. But Brother Man is in the house, and he has a wonderful professional perspective. He's a licensed clinical psychologist. What you got to say?
I got to say good evening. I'm a little bit in awe of being in the midst of you young ladies and his brother this evening. So, but I'm looking forward to the program. And Andrea, you truth in advertising. So you said y'all have fun. Y'all have fun.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
we're having a good time.
It's a serious topic. We talk about those serious things, but we also try to have a good time.
Yeah.
This is one of those topics that it could get really, really heavy, and I could start crying any minute now.
Oh, no.
Don't do it.
No.
It's all right.
The coach is coming in.
Yeah. Yes.
So let's just start talking. I know that Fran gave us a little bit of a definition up front, but what to each of you does a boundary mean? And then what is a healthy boundary as opposed to just a boundary? Darlene, what do you think about when we say boundary?
When I think about boundaries, I think about separating yourself from others. So many times we get involved with life and family and kids that we don't find a distinction between ourselves and others. And it's really important to keep our desires and wants and dreams alive. And the only way you can do that is keeping boundaries and being able to stay focused on not only what your responsibilities are, but also be able to set boundaries so you can fulfill those things you want in your life.
It's about you.
Yeah.
I don't know if people
And it's
don't
not
feel
a
that.
selfish perspective, but it is about you. It's about you preserving your space and your sanctity of what you want.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that selfish perspective, because that's something that people really, really think about.
Definitely.
What's up with you guys? What do you think? What is a boundary?
Well, first, I don't like the term boundaries.
Okay.
Simply because it brings a negative connotation.
Okay.
It says stop. Boundaries.
I guess you're right about that.
Boundaries
You're right.
says stop. I don't go. And most of us don't want to hear don't go. Most of us don't want to hear stop. So I like the term balance. I like the term balance more so than boundary.
Then boundary.
Okay. But is there, you got an interesting look on your face there, Dr. Reese. Is there a difference between balance and boundaries? What do you think?
I think there's a relationship between balance and boundaries.
Okay.
And I think the differences are difficult to discern.
Mm-hmm.
In thinking about boundaries, I think about them in a couple of different ways.
Okay.
One of which is the boundaries that we have for ourselves as individuals.
Okay.
The boundaries that Roy has for Roy, Andrea has for Andrea, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boundaries that I have in relationship to other folks. So the boundaries I have with my wife, the boundaries I have around my family, the boundaries I have around my professional life, and that all these, and this goes to what the brother was saying about balance, all those have to be in balance in order for those boundaries to be productive and healthy for me. So I think of boundaries as something that helps give form to our life because it reflects intentionality. I'm setting this boundary because I'm making a value statement. So I make a value statement about the relationship I have with my wife. And then in partnership with her, for example, we negotiate what that boundary looks like. And then that says to us and to the world that these are the values that Robin and Roy have for Robin and Roy.
Gotcha.
Okay, give me an example of a value statement, because I know like we use them in business or we use them at the church. We use them, but how you set a value statement for your life or for your family, you and your wife?
I'll give you an example of both. I don't miss birthdays. I don't miss my wife's birthday. I don't miss my son's birthday.
Right.
I don't miss my daughter's birthday. And regardless of the work responsibility, and I have a very active career, that's not a piece that happens. And my colleagues now understand that. Okay. So some of them can tell you when the kids and Robin's birthday are probably quicker than I can in some instances, because they know that things don't happen around it. That's a personal boundary I have around my relationships with those individuals. Okay. A relationship a value statement that we have in our home is we don't eat as a family unless we bless the food. It's simple. Yeah. Okay. But that may be the only time that we come together as a family and pray before God. Okay. And acknowledge Him. Okay. Simple as that. And even if I'm over there still cooking, hey, Amon, did you bless your food? Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay. So we set a clear line around what it is that's important to us.
Right.
All right. But you said something very interesting, Darlene, when you opened us up, because I think that there are several myths. There's this book called Boundaries, and it's by Henry Cloud and Dr. Townsend and John Townsend. And the book is one that kind of started me and you, actually, Darlene, on this journey. We did, Darlene and I did a seminar several years back, and we taught about boundaries from this book, using this book as an example. But one of the things that they do is they break down boundaries and talk about the myths that people have around boundaries, and they also talk about some of those laws of boundaries. But I think those myths are the things that really get us all stuck up. And the very first one is about feeling like you're being selfish. The biggest myth out there says, if I set boundaries, I am going to be considered selfish. What would you guys say to that? Roy, what do you say to that?
I think boundaries, I tell parents all the time who are so focused on their kids that they lose sight of themselves. And I say to those parents, I said, if you don't take care of yourself, the extent to which you take care of yourself is the extent to which you're going to be able to take care of your child. Right. So, and they say, well, I don't want to be selfish. Well, self-care, self-love, and self-healing, there's nothing selfish about that, and it actually best positions you to then love and care for other folks. Right. So it's actually one of the healthiest things that folks can do, because if the boundary is healthy, somebody used that term earlier, then the boundary then sets you up in a better position to relate to other folk.
How do you think about it when somebody says to you, but Darlene, if I set a boundary, somebody's gonna think that I'm being selfish? What do you say to that?
I'd say that they're incorrect, and it's okay for them to say that you're being selfish. It's all right to be selfish, because if you're protecting your heart and your mind and your thoughts, it's okay to be selfish. So if they say you're being selfish, you have to get past what they're saying, but then focus back in on what's important to you, and knowing that you need to be in a healthy place. And if you succumb to someone always saying that you're selfish, you'll never be able to set boundaries, or you'll never be able to do and achieve the things you want. Look at women in general. How many of us are doing so many different things because we're taking care of other people that we neglect taking care of our health exams, our mammograms.
That's right.
You know, our kids, and that's what he's saying about being able to set healthy boundaries. So if someone says you're selfish, that's something they have to deal with. As long as you're not hurting them,
then that's on them.
Then that's on them. So you can walk them through it, you can help them through it, but at the same time, you still have to say, ultimately, what's going to be best for me in order for me to have a healthy life and healthy relationships.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that sound is the sound that says that we got to take a little bit of a break here. Right, we're through our first time, but you know, this is a great conversation that we've already started.
It sure is.
Friend.
It is. It's been wonderful so far. I'm amped about the next section.
Are you learning something?
I am.
Because you need some balance in your life, girl. I hate to tell you. I brought you on this show and everything, and I didn't want it to be
I kind of thought you were trying to tell me something.
But we'll be back shortly. You're listening to Cameos of Love.
Cameos of Love.
Cameos of Love.
One of the most inspirational books on the market today, Standing Tall While Facing the Trials That Come Into Your Life, written by Job Titus Cannon. This book gives you encouragement, strength, and a desire to stand in the midst of your trial. Get your copy today. Plus, one of the hottest music CDs on the market, Stand Tall by Job Titus Cannon and Reborn. 18 tracks of inspiration, toe-tapping, soul-stirring, and hand-clapping music. Order your copy of Standing Tall While Facing the Trials That Come Into Your Life for only $13.95. Or get your copy of Job Titus Cannon and Reborn's CD, Stand Tall, for only $12.95. Or get the combo, book and CD, for only $22. Get them today at www.anointedcrownrecords.com. That's www.anointedcrownrecords.com. Or call 678-658-7680. FIA Broadcasting Network is now seeking talk shows covering the following subject matter: economy, school and education, cars from antiques to repairs, love and life issues, and finally, music and entertainment. Got a show or an idea? Give us a call at area code 770-498-0125. That's area code 770-498-0125. Or visit us on the World Wide Web at www.fiaworld.com. That's FIA, F as in Frank, IA, world.com. FIA, where pricing and cost are always affordable. FIA Broadcasting Network, bringing you the best in talk entertainment. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hey, 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 hey. This is Cameos of Love, the hottest internet radio show where we're talking about life, love, and relationships. I am your co-host, Andrea Diallo.
And I'm the fill-in for the night, Francis Williams.
This is our fill-in, but it's our fabulous fill-in, Francis Williams. And you know, tonight, Fran, we're having a great conversation about healthy boundaries for a healthy life, having a balanced life, and learning how to say that little word.
No.
No. Say it again.
That's a hard word. No. I'm not going to say it again.
So if you have some questions, because we have a certified life coach, we have a licensed clinical psychologist, we have a pastor and a pastoral care. We've got all sides covered in the house.
That's right.
You want to reach us, you want to ask a question, definitely call us up, 770-498-0125. That number is 770-498-0125.
Or you can email us now while we're on the air at cameosoflove@gmail.com.
What's that?
cameosoflove@gmail.com. Of course, you can also hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. We do want to hear from you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, listen, as we were going to the break, we were talking about those myths that were written about by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend in a book called Boundaries. Okay. And that first one that they talked about was, if I set boundaries, I'm being selfish. And we were ending up with Darlene was just saying about, you can't be worried. Look, I'm going to give you the translation of what Darlene said.
Go ahead.
Because Darlene said it much nicer than, but what she meant was, don't be worried about what people think.
Yeah.
You can't be worried about what people think, and that's a growth process. I mean, as the doctor was saying earlier, we have belief systems and values and attitudes about things in life. But so many times, what you're taught and what you learn, you're being shamed and you're being told that you're being unchristian or unspiritual. You have all these different things coming at you. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And so those myths are perpetuated by our families. And if we don't have a clear sense of what our values should be, then we will, see someone saying being selfish as a bad thing, and it's not. It's just in perspective. You have to have the right perspective about what selfishness means.
Okay.
I think that, one of the things I thought that they said that's really good in the book, they said that you have to be able to discern the difference between selfishness and stewardship. That selfishness, yes, is about me. I'm telling you no because it's about me. Versus stewardship is understanding that, okay, God's only given me this amount of time in this life, this amount of energy in this world, these responsibilities for this family, this job, this whatever. And if I'm going to be able to be effective in any one of those and all of them, then I have to set those lines. Pastor Stewart, I mean, you were being quiet over there, but what do you think about it?
Oh, I've just been waiting on my turn.
Okay. Come on now.
Simply because I'm on the scope of on the other side.
Okay.
I probably need the counseling.
Okay.
When I was
There's
asked to do
right
this, when I was asked, when Mr. Diallo asked me, I say to her, I'm not the one that you want to ask to do this, simply because I'm on the side where I don't set boundaries.
That's good.
Okay.
In fact, and that's why probably I don't like the term boundaries.
Okay.
So, but how does that make you feel?
It says to me, stop.
But how does that make you feel? And so maybe you don't need boundaries if you're okay with it. How does that make you feel? I mean, do you feel anxious or stressed, or at the end of the day, because you didn't set any boundaries, do you feel overwhelmed? It's all about how you're feeling and how you're taking care of you.
It might be my island personality. I'm not often stressed, but
are you kidding me?
I find that I do need balance. I do need balance.
Okay.
Because I believe I can, and not to be super spiritual, but I believe I can do all things.
Right.
It's just a matter of doing things in balance.
Okay.
And when I look at balance as actually allocating or giving the necessary time to do the things that are necessary. Giving the necessary time to do the things that are necessary. And that balance is different for everyone.
Right.
A single parent having 4 children, having to run from the basketball game to the baseball game,
Okay.
is balance will have to be different from a single parent or single person
Yeah.
having no children.
Yeah.
So that balance becomes different for all of us.
Absolutely.
And I believe in when you have balance brings enjoyment. And it brings fulfillment.
Yeah.
So if you have that balance in your life and you have that enjoyment, you have that fulfillment, maybe not to the place of boundaries or setting certain boundaries.
So
Go ahead.
So what I think I hear
Yes.
you saying is that for you're able to structure and you have time management skills, so you can balance all of these different activities that you have, and you're okay with it. So at some point you have set some level of boundaries because you know what you can do and you can't do.
I see Dr. Reese over there kind of stewing. What's going
Go
on
ahead,
in that
Dr. Reese.
noggin? What's
Right.
up?
I mean, a couple pieces. One is this idea of allocation of resources.
Okay.
And then the word that you said earlier about this idea of stewardship.
Stewardship. Uh-huh.
And I think it's the stewardship of those resources that is the thing which brings healthy boundaries
Okay. Versus.
and good balance. So, for example, using your example, when I was a single man, the way I could allocate my resources in the form of time, my financial resources, etc., was different than when I became a husband and a father.
Okay.
And in order to be a good steward and a healthy person, a good steward in the eyes of God for me, and a healthy person, just if speaking from a psychological perspective,
Okay.
required that I made different choices. And I think going back to the earlier conversation about selfishness, making choices such that you are a responsible steward of the resources and responsibilities that you have is the thing you talked about, bringing fulfillment, and I would add to that peace.
Peace.
Right.
Yes.
That's what it's about. So it's crazy making when you try, for example, as a married man trying to live like a single man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now that one, that deserves a.
Right.
Deserve an amen. Hallelujah.
That's being out of balance. That's not being a good steward of my resources. And then who suffers because of that? I suffer. My
That's
wife
right.
suffers.
The
My
family
children suffer.
suffers. That's
Exactly.
right.
And so this whole piece that we're talking about, I think that there are components to it. And I think that
Okay.
we're talking about them. The piece around balance, the piece around stewardship, and the boundary piece. And I think that we always have to ask ourselves, if somebody's saying we're selfish, I want that person to say, so what about what I'm doing, in your
Right.
view, do you experience as selfish? What do you see about that as being self-serving in a way that's not good? Help
Let's
me
role
understand
play.
that.
Let's role play.
Okay.
Roy, because let's say we work together.
Sure.
Okay. And you come to me and you say, no, I come to you and I say, it's 5 minutes before you're supposed to go.
Right.
Robin's at home with the kids.
Right.
You're supposed to, come in and do the daddy and do the husband thing.
Right.
And I come to you and I said, listen, our boss just came in and said that we got to do this report and it's got to be on his desk by 10 a.m. in the morning. And I need your help to make it happen right now. Right now. This is job on the line,
Beautiful.
all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
But your
Beautiful
remember
scenario.
you said earlier, birthdays.
Right.
Birthdays. So it's Robin's birthday.
Okay.
It's Robin's birthday. I
What you gonna do?
done upped up the steak.
why-
The stakes are high. The stakes are
What you
high.
gonna do?
And I know you
It's your
addressed
wife's-
this to Roy, and I'm going to let him answer that.
Yeah.
But this is where I was talking about boundaries versus balance. Balance is giving the necessary time to the things that are necessary.
But
in
so we
this
you have to
situation,
decide which is
in this
necessary.
situation, you have to decide what is necessary to give the time to. What is necessary to give the time to will more than likely, at this time, be your boss. Because if you do
may or
not
may
give
not.
your boss, okay, and I'm gonna let
Doc.
Roy address that. If you do not give your boss that time, your wife may not be real pleased with you after you've lost your job. Roy, could you address?
Let's
You'd have made it harder, man.
Doc, for real, because I came to you with a request. Your boss did not come
Right,
to you. I came to
Oh,
you
okay.
and said,
You're talking about the boss.
I came to you and said the boss is gonna get down on us.
Right.
Go ahead, answer
Sure.
it.
We so one of the things I want to share later is this idea that boundaries are something that we communicate. So they're not surprises.
Okay, all right.
So it's Robin's birthday. ain't nobody in the office surprised by the fact that I actually may be taking half a day off or that I'm leaving the office because we got plans.
Okay.
Because people know.
Okay.
I've communicated that expectation, that boundary.
Communication.
All right. So but the other part of that becomes I'm also very committed to my career.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, I hear you. This is what I need for you to do. I need for you to send me an email that summarizes what you need for me to do. And by 7 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, you'll have it.
Okay.
Because after dinner, and celebrate my wife's birthday, then I'm gonna put in the time that I need to support you getting this piece done.
After dinner.
After. So that may mean that I'm up at 5 in the morning or whatever the situation is.
Okay.
But I'm clear.
Okay.
That what's about to happen is I'm about to go get my wife.
Because what's necessary for you and what you have prioritized in this moment is wife, then job.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But the key thing that we need to understand here is that there are a lot of people who are not able to communicate their boundaries clearly, and some people would struggle with what would they do.
So how do they do that?
And some people have to learn that, and that's the whole thing here. Because once that boundary is missed, then you have repercussions to that. And I think that's what people don't think through. They think about what's happening in the moment and in that instance. And so they make decisions that later they have to deal with consequences for. So say, let's turn the table and say he called his wife and said, hey, I have to do this project. I'm going to be late, or we're going to have to push it out.
Right.
Well, then what does that do to
his relationship?
Exactly. So then, he can go home and she can make him feel guilty, or he can be
and he ain't
have
getting
hurt
none
feelings.
for about 3 months.
Right,
And
exactly.
then it's like,
and so
everybody ain't happy, mama ain't happy, everybody
exactly.
ain't happy.
And so that's the key thing of helping and teaching people how to set healthy boundaries, because his are clear and he's already have communicated that. Someone may have not communicated that they had some plans for the evenings, and they may have not been able to think quickly on their feet, and that's what people need to start learning how to do, is to think, okay, what do I need to do for myself in this moment based on the other commitments I've made? That's called being responsible. And so they, that's what a lot of people out there are struggling with, is learning how to set those boundaries, or even be able to think out the box, or in a strenuous situation to say, what choices can I make in this instance that will satisfy me and not leave me feeling yuck, and satisfying the two parties.
Okay.
All right, two pieces real quick. One of which is the establishment, the setting, the communication of boundaries is not a perfect science.
No, it's not.
We all get it. So,
what do you mean? It's not what do you mean?
Well, Andrea. I say that to say that this is the second piece. It's a skill. It's something that's learned, and that is something that, as with experience and feedback, that you get better about doing. But if people understand that it's a skill, that there's something that can be learned, it's something that can be mastered, then I think that's the piece, because I don't think that I always had healthy boundaries around that piece. So for example, it used to be on family vacations, I would take pagers and cell phones and computers and wife was like, hey, this is okay.
Right, she said, I need to talk to you for a minute.
Wife was like,
we need to talk.
Yeah,
those evil words. We need to talk.
Right. This is not a vacation. So what happened is, we ended up setting limits.
Okay.
We had a boundary around the work that Roy could do on vacation.
On
vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
Practice though. And feedback. I mean, one of the things is we have to have benchmarks for getting feedback on our boundaries, because if I say I value my relationship with my wife, but I'm not acting in a way where she feels valued, and she gives me that feedback, well, I have an opportunity then to remanage, to redefine that boundary such that she feels the valuing of the relationship.
Okay. And it's important, but the only way you can learn that is having some level of self-awareness. And that's why I say when people want to call you selfish, it's important that you are okay with those words, because once you have self-awareness of what's going on with you, then you can start learning how to set those boundaries and start practicing those boundaries and start utilizing your communication skills to understand, how to set boundaries with your wife, your coworkers, your children, and yourself.
Right. Well, it's about that time. It's about that time. It's about that time. It's about that. We're all looking at you, huh? That shift in the music got us. Got us
Yeah,
up
it
there.
got me. I apologize.
It's about that time for us to take another break. And, you know, I mean, this time it just flies.
It's flying. It's definitely flying. I'm just like so involved in the conversation. I'm just like, okay, how did the time just go this fast?
I mean, I'm saying, and I was like, Fran, you need to say something.
And I was like, but I'm listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't understand.
I'm like, talk.
Next,
Do you
next
hear
time.
the words that
Next
are coming
time.
out of my mouth? It's about Cameos of Love. I'm your host, Andrea Diallo.
And I'm Francis Williams.
And we'll be back momentarily.
One of the most inspirational books on the market today. Standing Tall While Facing the Trials That Come Into Your Life, written by Job Titus Cannon. This book gives you encouragement, strength, and a desire to stand in the midst of your trials. Get your copy today. Plus, one of the hottest music CDs on the market, Stand Tall by Job Titus Cannon and Reborn. 18 tracks of inspiration, toe-tapping, soul-stirring, and hand-clapping music. Order your copy of Standing Tall While Facing the Trials That Come Into Your Life for only $13.95. Or get your copy of Job Titus Cannon and Reborn's CD, Stand Tall, for only $12.95. Or get the combo, book and CD, for only $22. Get them today at www.anointedcrownrecords.com. That's www.anointedcrownrecords.com. Or call 678-658-7680. FIA Broadcasting Network is now seeking talk shows covering the following subject matter: economy, school and education, cars from antiques to repairs, love and life issues, and finally, music and entertainment. Got a show or an idea? Give us a call at area code 770-498-0125. That's area code 770-498-0125. Or visit us on the World Wide Web at www.fiaworld.com. That's FIA, F as in Frank, IA, world.com. FIA, where pricing and cost are always affordable. FIA Broadcasting Network, bringing you the best in talk entertainment. We look forward to hearing from you.
welcome back to Cameos of Love, the hottest internet radio station in the country. This is Andrea Diallo.
And I am Francis Williams. Boy, this has been a good show. This has been a great show.
Flying by.
Quickly.
But you can still get in on it, you know, Fran. Our listening audience can still get in, and Fran can still get in.
Okay.
Because if you want to, you can call us at 770-498-0125. And I can tell you that if you've been trying to hit us on Facebook, the issue with technology is that sometimes it acts up. So if you've been trying to call in 770-498-0125. And then I'm going to put Fran, because Fran said, I have something I want to say.
Yeah, if that's okay. You guys don't mind? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to, talk about me for a second. So I don't think that I'm good at setting boundaries at all. So I am that single woman that you were talking about that, I'll have people to ask me to do things. I don't have any children or anything like that. So that's not even the issue. I'm not trying to, get through soccer practices and basketball games and cheerleading. It's more of when people come to me and say, hey, I was thinking about you to do this, whether it be at work or socially, it doesn't even matter, just in every area, I'm almost afraid to say no. And I'm almost afraid to say no because just like you were talking about, it's a negative connotation, or it might be something that I might not have the time for now, but I would hate to be overlooked the next time that event or that task came about. I don't want to close that door, exactly like you said. And so I am the person that says yes quite often. And understanding that, I needed to get some organization in my life, or to be able to prioritize or balance, like you guys mentioned before. I was fortunate enough to actually be a part of a women's group, where we actually get together because just to talk, and we all have, different goals and different aspects of our life where we want to improve on, and we talk to each other about that. We get the, what do you think, to be able to talk through with each other and say, hey, what pathway should I be going down, or just to hold each other accountable for the things that we said that we're going to do. And that has helped. It has helped a lot. Okay. But I'm still that person who doesn't say no a lot.
And if I can interject,
yes,
I'm also one of those persons who have a hard time saying no.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I'm still more on balance than boundaries.
But why is it that you have a problem with no? What is it that you think people are going to think or say about you? If you say to me, Andrea, no, what do you think that's going to mean for our relationship?
Well, first, it may be damaging to the relationship, but that is something that we can work out.
Okay.
I'm one who, especially in the pastoral role, I feel an obligation to meet the needs of those who are in need.
Does God say no?
I'm sure God says no.
Doesn't God say no?
There are times when I have to say no. Yeah. But that also brings to mind the other part of what you were saying. Sometimes we say no for selfish reasons. And I think that we make an excuse of saying, I'm setting boundaries, as opposed to saying, am I able to do this and have the balance and the time to actually help this person? Now, if we are looking at getting spiritual, we need to ask God, should we be doing this?
Right.
And there's times when we will hear clearly that God is saying no. No. But I think too often we make that decision saying, hey, you know what? I've got to watch a ball game. I've got to, hey, this is my time where I've set my boundaries.
That one's clear.
I have set some very clear boundaries. Boundaries means that there's limits.
Yes.
And I am not going over this limit. And that's always
we
my
don't want
concern.
to persecute the ball game, because truthfully, even the ball game could be a really healthy boundary.
It could
because
be.
if I'm this ultra stressed out guy, and my family is pulling at me, my work is pulling at me, my church is pulling at me, my organizations are pulling at me, and the game is the only time that I have. Some people can start to feel like that selfish feeling, but really God is like, I think that even God understands, you need to have some time to pull away from everything, kind of defrizzle, defrazzle. And that's my word. The Andrea definition of de-stress. And you need to be able to say and not feel guilty about what that looks like. If my no to you means that I am going to go sit in the tub for 10 hours, then that's my business. What I'm doing with that no, whether that's that or watching the game or doing something benevolent and going and serving, at a soup kitchen or no matter what I do at that time, if I'm finding time to have healthy.
And again, it has to be weighed. What is the importance here? Is it the boundary that I have set, or is it the need that has just came to me?
And that's going to be on an individualized basis. It really is going to have to be a preference. It has to be a choice for that person, but only that person being aware of what's going on in their lives. That, you may need to de-stress from your busy week. They're looking at the game, and that's how you relax and have some quiet time. And so it's going to have to be on an individual basis. We're all going to have to make these boundary choices, utilizing the word no for our individual selves. So,
and we can't be afraid of what people will think about your boundary.
Right. Because if you're feeling, like you were saying, friend, you were feeling, oh, I want to get this opportunity again.
Right.
So for you may have to, you're aware of how that's making you feel. And so you're going to have to come up with some ways of being able to communicate that, hey, I can't help you this time, but I would love to be included the next time. You're going to have to get clever in your thinking and and your strategy for you. And that's going to be specific to you. Everybody's strategy for setting their boundaries are going to be specific to them and their needs, because your needs are different at different times.
That goes back to that practice thing that you were saying.
Absolutely. I think, I just would take us back to this idea of self-care and self-affirmation and the boundaries that allow us to kind of care for ourselves. That's a healthy thing.
That's a healthy.
And I think no is oftentimes rooted in fear.
Yes.
And so, people will have to ask themselves the question, it's a conversation we have at home sometimes, what's the function of fear? And I believe that fear, the only function of fear is to prevent you from having that what it is that God intends for you to have.
Okay.
And so the no can sometimes allow you not to be in that healthy place that God is trying to take you because you're not willing to say no. Or it could be about something else, but fear has there's nothing healthy
about fear.
About fear.
They say if there's fear, there cannot be faith. They can't coexist.
Right, absolutely.
And fear manifests itself in so many different ways, making you feel hurt or feel that you're hurting others, feel abandoned or separation. So you're right, fear plays a big role, and it manifests itself in a lot of ways. So you have to be really focused on understanding where you are in your life.
Right. I think that this is a good time for us to do a really quick shift, because you made mention to the fact earlier that Dr. Reese has he has communicated his boundaries. Thank you. I needed that. And so he's already done that in his life, and so maybe when he goes to kind of assert his boundary or kind of reinforce his boundary, there's already communication around that, and they know what he's about to do. But what do you say to someone like me, like Fran, like Pastor Stewart, who are in the middle of kind of having, okay, I'm going to exaggerate, having boundaryless lives, and we need to make that shift? Like, how do you maneuver that shift? How do you, Dr. Reese, how did you said some things change because they weren't always there.
Absolutely.
So how do you maneuver that? I
want to be clear that some things change and some things continue to change.
Okay.
So this is not, I'm not at the end game.
And that's good.
Around this piece. Right. That it's a process, and I'm just clear about some things.
Okay.
And a process about others. I think the question is how do you get there? The part of it is, where do you want to be? What is it you want your life to look like? What is your vision? So one of the things you asked us to think about earlier was, what is a boundary? Well, and the question is what is your vision of what a boundary looks like for you?
Right.
And you have to be intentional about thinking about what that is, so that you have a starting point. And then you have to put in place benchmarks. People are things that can give you feedback, hold you accountable. Are you doing what you said you wanted to do?
Right.
And who can help you then manage that effectively. I call they're gatekeepers in my life.
Okay.
And they're friends, and they're my wife, and the other folk who will pull me up and say, hey, dude. Nah, man, that's not what's
up. Can I talk to you for a minute?
Yeah. They might say, can I talk? They might say something else. But that who I trust and who where that bond is there, that relationship is there, where they can pull my ear and say, no, that's not what's up.
It's that kind of good godly counsel.
Right, absolutely.
That's all right. That's all right.
So this all stems from a heightened sense of self. Like you were saying, self-awareness, knowing who you are and what it is that you want and what it is that you're going to do to get to that point.
And coming up with strategies when you're faced with struggling with your boundaries, because some things can be preset and some things evolve and they develop as you go. And so sometimes you may not be quick on your feet like me. I can think and say, okay, that sounds interesting, but I can't participate. So sometimes you may have to not use the N-O word and say, let me get back with you. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll get pressure saying, let me get back with you. So you have to develop some strategy for helping you figure out if you're struggling with the word no or boundaries to say, let me think about it.
Find a way to make the no sound like yes.
Let me process
I have
what you
balance.
want. Let me process what you want, and then I can get back with you to make a decision.
Okay.
And then you can come up with your strategy of how you tell a person no, or maybe the next time, or making sure that you don't feel bad when you tell a person no. You come up with strategies, and then you have your support system, someone who's going to keep you accountable and helping you set those goals and boundaries.
Wow. That's some good points.
It certainly is.
And you wouldn't believe it, but we are just about out of time. In this hour, I mean, it happens every single week, y'all. And we are definitely just so blessed and thankful that you guys have joined us. I want to give you guys some room to give just your final thoughts. We'll start with you, Darlene, since you were already talking. Where you at? What's going on? How can somebody find you if they need a life coach in their life?
Well, I'm Darlene Clark, and you can reach me at darlenelifecoach@gmail.com.
Say it again.
darlenelifecoach@gmail.com. And my number that you can reach me on is 678-404-1689. That's 678-404-1689.
I just appreciate you for coming on and sharing your expertise that you just don't even know.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And it was great seeing you after the long time.
You too. And Pastor Stewart, how would you encourage us as we close out? How would you encourage us?
I would encourage balance.
I like that.
I would say balance is just actually doing the things that brings fulfillment to you.
Okay.
Again, I really appreciate the words of all our guests and all the persons here using that boundary, and I do understand that, and I'll take some of that away after all.
Well, that's good.
He's had his session.
And, but I just want to
$50 so you can leave.
But I just want to encourage those who are out there to be able to find the things that bring enjoyment.
Okay.
Find the things that bring fulfillment.
That's good.
Yes, it is hard for me with all I'm doing, but I've stepped out and I started playing tennis again, something that I love.
Okay.
And just doing some things, just finding some things, whether it be hobbies or whatever else, to bring balance.
Perfect.
Vision and process. I mean, I think that many of us kind of live and kind of wander through life without vision, and without vision, it's hard to have meaning. And so we need to create these visions for ourselves and understand that it's a process. I've enjoyed being with you. I certainly hope to get invited back.
If somebody, you absolutely are welcome back anytime. How do I get your services?
How do you get a hold of me? I do some clinical work out of Acoma Counseling and Consulting in Decatur.
Okay.
The number at that practice is 404-378-7309. And we love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Okay. Listen, y'all, we're out of time. Fran, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
I always have fun when I'm here with the studio guests, the listening audience. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a good time. And that we have, I guess our last thought would just be that Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. We're at 8:00. We have to set that boundary, but we know that you'll be back again next week with us. Joe will be back, and we're up to no good again.
That's right.
But we're just really grateful for you, Francis. And next week, we're going to be talking about healthcare reform, different perspectives, and just kind of weighing in from the older to the younger to the middle to the whoever.
That's right.
You got something to say about healthcare reform? Hit us up. let us know. I promise that our Facebook and our Gmail will be working, so you can reach us at what?
cameosoflove@gmail.com. That's cameosoflove@gmail.com. And of course, Facebook, Twitter. There's just so many ways you can get in touch. Yes.
We want to hear from you. We're just going to have a great week on purpose. And hey, start where you are with your boundary setting.
You're listening to the FIA Broadcasting Network. The show is taped on Thursdays at 7 p.m. on the internet at FIAworld.com. This show was produced by Solomon Pollard. The doctor is in. AKA Dr. P. Music and production arrangements by Dr. P and the Atlanta Sub Factor. God is good all the time. You have been listening to Cameos of Love with your co-host Job Titus Cannon and Andrea Diallo. Tune in again next week on the FIA Broadcasting Network. Cameos of Love. See ya.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts of this show are not associated with FIA Broadcast Network or its affiliates.